This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Hello, a very good evening and welcome to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. Stephen Jameson and Simon Webb back with you for week number 5 of competition with 4 more top players looking to secure a berth in the last 16. Only one will move through from the competition this evening into the latter stages. Simon, we've seen a great opening month on the Masters, week 5, week 6. It just keeps on giving so many top players. Tonight we've got a couple of European champions. It just keeps on getting better and better, and this one should be a really close lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. There is another great lineup, and it's another very, very difficult lineup to call. Probably the tightest lineup to call we've had so far, with the 4 players that we've got in action.
It should be a cracking night, and if you are joining us for the first time for the Masters and you'd like to know a little bit more about what it's all about, what's on the line this evening, here's everything that you need to know. The Ultimate Pool Masters brings together the best players around and puts them to the ultimate test. 64 players start with 16 groups of 4. Each night, 4 players will be featured with 2 semi-finals and a final, with 1 player advancing through the group into the next stage. Once we're through to the last 16, we'll have 4 more 4-to-1 format nights, leaving us ultimately with our final 4. Then, on finals night, we have 2 semi-finals and our grand final to crown the winner. The matches themselves are set to a 50-minute match clock. It's a race to 8 frames or 0 on the clock, whichever comes first. A 45-second shot clock is in operation, with the final 10 minutes introducing a 15-second shot clock, where only the quick thinking will survive. If a match is tied as the clock runs out, a 6-red shootout will decide the winner. We're playing international 8-ball rules, so a foul introduces cue ball in hand for your opponent, but the basic premise remains the same. Pick a colour set, pot your balls, then pot the 8-ball. There's £20,000 in the prize pot, and at the end of it all, the winner will pocket 10 grand, a worthy prize for a marathon event. Welcome to the Ultimate Pool Masters. Well, I hope that's everyone clued in. As for what's at stake tonight, 4 more top players. Only one can move through to the last 16. Here is tonight's lineup. We mentioned it was a good one. It should be a close one too. A couple of European champions in and amongst us as well. We kick off tonight with Hiten Patel against Eddie Barker. Ben Flack and Karl Sutton, the other tonight semi-final, as it were. Two great games, Simon. I think both actually very difficult to call.
Yeah, completely. It's really is a tough one to try and work out who's going to come through each of these first 2 matches. I think the bookies would say that the winner of the second match will have a slight edge going into the group final tonight, but these 2 matches should be absolute crackers.
Disappointing start for Hiten Patel then. He breaks dry. He'd have been desperate to make a ball on that first break, just get a chance to get his hand on the table and get set in this opening match. As it is, it's a pretty good looking split. Eddie Barker with the game's first opportunity to make a clearance. Not the ideal positional shot, but he still has a route to the 8-ball.
Just for a second I thought he'd blocked off his path to the top of the table, but he's okay. This is a nice little angle to get going at the top. Yellow nearest the right middle, that will drop into the right middle, so that's solvable. You need to be right behind that one. You won't want to have too much angle, but it's doable. Only yellow that's could be a real problem is the couple below the 8-ball and the one next to the red. That may need a little nudge to open that up. I'm not sure if it goes without it, but with the one next to it, he should leave himself a good angle to do so.
We have seen both of these players recently on Free Sports. They were in the Champions League competition a couple of months back. Both of them not making it through the group, but they both had a pretty good go at it. As Eddie leaves that one hanging in the pocket, not to be, for the man they call Batman. chance then for Hiten Patel. Had a bit of redemption. Didn't have the frames opening opportunity. That's a great opening gambit though with the plan. That's not come out terribly for him.
No,
every ball has a pocket, but it's the pots themselves could be the issue for him. These aren't easy.
Yeah, he's got a couple of problems. That this is not a layout that you're really going to fancy taking out. So I think he's probably going to look for some sort of control shot here. Maybe try and get this one into the bottom left-hand corner, block off a couple of the yellows. That'll do the job. That's a nice shot.
It certainly is, yeah. Red's now big favourite to win the frame from here. Yellows are tough from this juncture.
Often the way, you know, Eddie came to the table after that dry break and you thought, okay, this is a good chance to really get going. A couple of really good positional shots required, and then all of a sudden you miss one and then you're into a worse position because of it. Oh, that's excellent. Actually, he's on this yellow to the bottom right-hand corner, so playing that one off the red has opened everything up.
Eddie is a top player. Really good standard. And also we've alluded to a little bit over the course of the previous few weeks, everyone in this quarter of the draw, weeks 5, 6, 7 and 8, will really back themselves to have a run to the semi-finals. They can see the draw from the outset, they know who they'd have to face, and they will know that it is almightily competitive, but there's opportunity for everyone. And he's run aground a little bit here.
I agree with you. I think as good as everyone is in these groups in these next 4 weeks, each player will certainly feel, you know, they've avoided some big names. We cut cushion first rather than the yellow on the way through, so
that's how thin that was.
Yeah.
That was odds against that pot. It's a little bit unlucky, Eddie. Half a roll or two away from being on the yellow at the bottom of the table, which is what he was trying to do.
Big problem here for Hiten Patel is the red at the top of the table, blocked off by the yellow. He might be able to play on it now to the opposite corner. Oh, he's gone for the skill shot instead, tried to pop the yellow over the top left pocket, control the white to leave it at that end of the table. He still has another red at the top end of the table which he can use to potentially play position onto that difficult ball if he wants to. There is enough room. May not be able to do it from the angle he's got now, but he could go back up for it.
Yeah, the hitman as he's known, Hiten Patel. Fantastic nickname as they go. Clever shot that. International 8-ball rules. Potting your opponent's ball, it is a legal shot, and cue ball just stays where it is, and it's turned the table over to Eddie. And now that he's got that yellow off the table, there's no opener, there's no starter here for Eddie. So a really good tactical choice shot there from Hiten Patel. Yeah, I should clarify, you can pot your opponent's ball, but only via a legal shot of your own. So Hiten had to play reds first there. Containing shot from Eddie. And it's not a bad one. I don't think Hiten's got a red to go at here. I think the two on the right side, lower half of the table, are both blocking each other to pockets. Had a good look at that, Eddie, to try and find out what he was going to leave Hiten, where he left that, when he left the cue ball where it was. A tactical frame to open us up here on our first match of the night.
Just trying to get the cue ball back into the same area of the table, and a little bit short, but it's not too bad. It's going to give Eddie half a chance with the yellow down the cushion, or the one at the bottom of the table. He's going to be able to get one of them into that bottom right-hand corner, which can slow Hiten down a little bit. In these situations, you would always favour the player that has more balls on the table.
Surprised he didn't go to take the pocket there a little bit, but I think he's a touch short on where he wanted to leave that yellow.
I think his thought process there was, if we leave the cue ball right on the bottom cushion, the only thing he's going to be leaving is that red at the top of the table, and it'd be awkward from the cushion. But from where he's left it now, it's not that difficult for Hiten to pot this. And the yellow that he's played hasn't really got in the way. It's It's half blocked one of the reds, but it's solvable.
Is this the chance for Hiten to go game? Well, now it is. It's a lovely shot. It's not come out too kind. Just saying that, he's got lovely cannon. This pot is very, very tricky now.
If he caught that red just a shade thicker, it'd still be on this red to the bottom right corner. Now that he isn't, it's difficult. Can't really play the plant, or he can, but it's very, very awkward. I think that's what he's lining up. Potentially a double with the other one. It's going to be the plant.
Oh, some shot that. Some shot that from Hiten Patel. Deserved that after a really good cannon. Got a little bit unlucky with where he left the white, but that is a lovely shot.
The reason I didn't think he'd go for the plant was because it was risky that if he misses it, he's probably going to give away the frame. But having made it, it's won him the frame, so excellent shot.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? That is what it's all about. Make it, you win it. Miss it, you lose it. Hiten Patel took that risk, he took that chance. And it will give him the first frame of the match. It'll be either a race to 8 or a race to 0 on the clock. Whichever one comes first. Hiten Patel strikes first. 1-0. So 1-0 to Hiten Patel after 1. And we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with you with the resumption of this match.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Foul. Ball in hand, behind the break line. Red ball's in play.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. Do apologise if any of you were having some technical difficulties during our first section of the show. Hopefully they're all fixed now. It is 1-0 to Hiten Patel. And Hiten a little bit unlucky. I'll show you some of the action that you've missed whilst we've been playing through the break here. This is a lovely little shot from Hiten Patel. Have a little watch of this. Thank you. Very, very good. But his shot after that, he got himself snookered behind the black. Couldn't quite make the reverse double on the reds. And it brings Eddie to the table with a gimme of a chance to square things up for one apiece here.
Chance missed for Hiten, really. It was a scratched break from Eddie. Potted the cue ball straight into the top corner and felt that was going to lead to a reverse dish and 2-0, but a mistake from Hiten has let him back in. Should take these out, but doesn't always work out like that. Just needs to mind his work.
Yeah, you don't foresee any problems here for Eddie Barker, but stranger things have happened. It's a good chance for him here just to get his hand on the table and get the cue arm going. I don't think that's exactly where he wants to leave that white ball.
Little mistake, yeah, wanted that cannon on the 8 ball just to stay on the yellow at the bottom of the table before going up. He can still recover it, but tricky pot to the top right.
Yeah, it's a good pot, mind. It's a really good pot.
Yeah, excellent recovery. Even if he's straight on this yellow and not the perfect angle, he can just drop it through. So as long as he can see past the red, he's got the yellow to the bottom left, no problem at all. He actually had the perfect angle anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing when you have that advantage of your opponent clearing the way for the majority of the table. You can see there only one red in the way for Eddie to contend with. If there was 5 or 6, all of a sudden that clearance is a lot more difficult, but that was routine. It meant he could have made an error with the cue ball, and he could recover with a fine pot. This is going to be 1-1, and the Batman ties the Hitman. It's one apiece. Well, we've been with you for 4 weeks already on the Ultimate Pool Masters, and this is the lay of the land. What a last 16 group that is. Jordan Shepherd, Chris Melling, Phil Harrison and Rob Chilton. One of those men will be a semi-finalist eventually. It's such a good group, that. It really, really is.
It could be the final 4. You know, no one will question it. Such is the standard of that lineup. It's
I mean,
just the last 16.
Look at the players that have gone out. Clint Ianson, you know, Dylan Leary, Mark Farnsworth, Carl Morris,
John McAllister.
Didn't even spot him.
That was a minefield, wasn't it? That first quarter of the
crazy group. And this just ties back into what we were saying about this second quarter of the draw, as it were, weeks 5, 6, 7, and 8. It's so even. It's so tough to call, but it's very, very even. The odds for player 1 and player 4 and 2 and 3 each week will be fairly similar. There won't be big favourites, there won't be massive underdogs necessarily, and that just keeps everyone in this quarter of the draw really, really interested. Hiten Patel makes the ball, one of the last in motion. Nearly took out the light with the cue ball there as well, but he's got a chance here with the visit. It's a good hit. Often when you see the white getting right up in the air, it generally means he's not hit the break very well, but you can see there he got some power through the pack.
Cue ball's normally jumping, when it goes up in the air, it's jumping down the table. If we saw it in super slow motion, you'd see the cue ball bouncing on its way down, and you can catch that front ball badly when that happens. And fortunately for Hiten Patel, he's caught it perfectly on this occasion and gets first chance again.
Yeah, ordinarily you'd think 8 ball on the cushion could potentially be a problem to land on, but actually that red should make that a really easy pot as long as he's somewhere in the right half of the table.
It's the 2 yellows in the bulk, or past the break line, that are actually probably the 2 trickiest. The one doesn't go past the 8 ball to the top right, it has to be made to the top left instead, and that's not easy to land on. And the one just below it has the red in the way, semi-blocking it, so well, he's not going to get that far. That's a poor miss from Hiten.
Yeah, it sure is. I don't think he had a whole pocket, but even so, he will have backed himself to make that. You can see he missed that red by a little way enjoying it. It was certainly a factor, but that should have gone. And I wonder if Hiten Patel will be made to rue that miss. Not necessarily just in this frame, but also come the end of the match. That should have been a 2-1 lead for Patel, no doubt about that.
Important moments really here for Eddie Barker, because he will have felt, sat in his chair in that last frame, that he was going 2-0 down. He got let off the hook a little bit, and here we are again. He may have looked at that layout from his chair and thought, okay, I'm going behind once again, but he's got the chance to come to the table and punish a mistake, and if you can do that, it carries so much more weight than just making a clearance off your own break. Long way to go with this finish, but there's no real problems for him to worry about. Red does go to the top left-hand corner. You can just see a glimpse from that camera angle. One into the middle pocket will be tight, but if he lands right behind it, shouldn't pose any real problems for him. Just wants to make sure it's not his last ball. That's okay. Suspect he'll still take it into the middle pocket. Slightly easier pot than to the corner. The corner probably makes position onto the 8 ball. I mean, it doesn't matter either way, really. He could do it either or. Personal preference, I suppose.
This is what the best players do. They punish mistakes. Oh, well. Eddie Barker, that is a big error. I don't think he can make this pot.
Yeah,
Wants to slide past the 8 ball and contacting it.
Can't cut it from there, has to use the cushion here.
It's a difficult one off the cushion. So little room for this. Can't make it. Oh, Hiten Patel, what a let-off.
It is a let-off, but look at what he's been left. I mean, he'll be happy just to have a shot, I know, but he's not been left anything easy to go at here. Tough pot at the bottom of the table, has to take it on. I can't see a safety option for him. Not one that he's going to like. Oh, he is going to go for a... Is this a pot in the middle? Can he get to the one in the middle? Not sure. Oh, he's gone for the cutback. Excellent. Oh, perfect as well.
It's a lovely shot. Oh, Eddie will be kicking himself. Did all the hard work, didn't he? Had done all of the hard work.
It's why I thought he might have given some consideration to taking his final ball to the corner, because it was just a fraction easier to play position if the cue ball was tight on the right-hand side rail. Takes all the risk of catching the 8 ball out. But I still didn't think he'd have a problem playing it the way he did, and just flicking the 8 ball caused all the problems. It ends a little bit straight on this yellow. Screwing on and off the bottom cushion, loads of room though. Nicely played, and that will be job done in this frame.
Should be. Should be. Both players have struggled a bit so far. Haven't quite got going at full flow. For Hiten Patel, at the second time of asking, goes 2-1 up.
Frame.
And here is the hitman from Wolverhampton. He is an Indian international, has been for about 15 years or so, I think. A lot of experience at international level. Multiple Leicester Tour winner, and he has been up as high as 7th in the world rankings as well. He is the outsider to qualify through this evening. He's got a tough draw against Eddie Barker here, who's currently number 5 in the WPF world rankings, and is the favourite in this match. But so far, as we've been able to see, this has been a very even match. Hiten has had the more chances and is 2-1 up, but on each one of those chances, generally, he's given Eddie an opportunity too. And he's not been able to take them on just yet. It's a much better break from Eddie Barker. Caught those beautifully.
It is a much better break, but it is not a very kind layout. Couple of problem areas. Look at the split. They exploded when he caught the pack there. Red and yellow at the bottom of the table. That's awkward. If he goes reds, which is easier to solve at the bottom of the table than the red towards the top left-hand part of the table, is a real problem, plus a couple on the right-hand side. So reds are tricky. If he goes yellows, which is his choice,
Yellow ball's in play.
this yellow at the bottom of the table is very difficult to solve.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do some... Got my compass out here. Really struggling to find a way to do it. I suppose there's a potential for a skill shot. Maybe he's not thinking about the finish, but I find it difficult to believe.
From the main camera angle, I didn't think it was going to be on, but maybe the yellow off the red, just feather it off the red, the one that's right in the middle of the table, might give him the chance to play, just to move the red out the way and be on the yellow. But if that was the case, he would have played it then.
So this visit comes down to, can Eddie Barker pop the yellow at the bottom of the table? He's having a good look at it now, trying to find a way. He's got an angle to go to the bottom of the table now, but he's not got the angle, I don't think, to cannon into it. And I don't think they plan as a skill shot.
No, I think he's probably regretting not playing this yellow in the middle of the table, trying to play it off the red on the previous shot, because now that's what he's looking at, I think.
It was close. It was really close. As you can see, it would have come out nicely for him as well.
There are times when you play a shot like this and you really fancy it because you think you've got a decent margin of error on that sort of shot. It just didn't feel like there was much margin of error at all, and actually he hit the red quite a long way from the pocket, not the one he was trying to hit, which is why it didn't go in. I'd be interested to know why he didn't take that shot after his initial opening pot, why he decided to pot that one in the centre first. He must have had a positional reason for that, but he made it a lot harder from where he finished than where he was originally. Problems for Hiten Patel though. That red at the top of the table still needs to be solved.
But look how much easier reds are now when there's quite a few less yellows on the table. Even in potting 2 or 3 yellows, Eddie's still then hitting a big favour. But you're right, that red at the top of the table is a problem.
And now's the red at the bottom of the table. I'm not sure if he was trying to play full ball into that yellow and to stay onto the red, below the red, so he could play the red to the top of the table off the yellow to open that, in a very similar way that Eddie was trying on his colour set. But it's gone wrong, whatever he was trying to do. This is not a layout that he's going to be able to clear very often. So I think that's just a safety effort, no real thoughts of making a double, just cover the pocket and get to work. He does have one more ball on the table than Eddie, which is a slight advantage.
One thing you would say though is that all of Eddie's balls do have a pocket. You can double the one at the bottom left to land on the one at the bottom of the table. It's not an easy clearance, but it is there for him. Hiten's clearance, on the other hand, is very tricky. Right at the top right. The red at the top right isn't easy. Red at the top of the table, even less so. Eddie choosing not to use his extension, he could have. In the end, that's not a bad shot that's come out of it. Still at the table. Just needs to land somewhere at the bottom of the triangle area, and I think he'd be pretty happy.
I just wonder if he's concerned that the yellow nearest the bottom right-hand corner is in the way. It doesn't look like it is, but he could have come down the table on that previous shot if he wanted to. And he's decided to try and play into it, which was coming at that angle, was massive odds against. And
it's such a difficult shot he's tried to do there. Such a difficult shot. And you look at the overhead and you do wonder if that yellow was blocking.
Now he's in a world of trouble. No real way of potting the yellow towards the bottom right-hand corner and getting anywhere near the other yellow, and there's no way of doubling it. So coming off the cushion, trying to pot it along the bottom rail. And the reason I say trying to pot it is that he was hoping to pot it off the red. No real advantage for him there, just hitting it and nudging it towards the pocket, because he was going to lose that tactical battle if that played out. So took a very aggressive option there, and often what you have to do when you're behind in the frame.
Not quite happened for Eddie so far. Likewise for Hiten, really. That's a lovely opening pot, though. This now is a very good chance. Made that pot look really, really easy. Toss it as flush as you like.
Wasn't a huge amount of pressure on it, because if he misses it, he's still in control of the frame, but he'd still be happy that it's gone in, because now the frame is there for him to win.
Big chance now. I think already at this juncture it's fairly safe to say that we'll be going to the clock rather than the race today. As always, you feel such an advantage to be leading heading into the end of the match. You don't want to be chasing, especially with a 15-second shot clock. Yes, it allows for a comeback, it gives you that opportunity, but you always want to have frames on the boards. And here we'll have that opportunity.
I was just going to say, you feel like you can control that match clock a little bit better, don't you? You feel like you can, if you have to, if the frame isn't there for you to take out, you can slow it down and just kill the frame off a little bit more.
Oh, we saw it last week beautifully, didn't we, with the match between Carl Morris and Carl Morris's first match, where I think it came down to seconds.
Yeah, with Gio, yeah.
And it was so close. A beautiful example of how the shot clock can work. This is Eddie Barker. Eddie Batman Barker, 47-year-old from Hemel Hempstead. He is a World Championship semi-finalist. Previously, he's three-time UK Tour Club Open winner too, as well as an International Master runner-up as well. He's currently ranked, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, number 5 on the WEPF rankings. A very solid, consistent player.
Frame number 5.
Saw him in the Champions League. He didn't get out of his group, and he certainly gave his opponents a real test. Sutton here switches to the cut break.
Yeah, Eddie, a bit of a snooker background as well. I think he's the current Buckinghamshire snooker champion.
Oh, wherever Hiten is breaking, it's not going for him. That one's come up dry. I think it's been a big factor in the match so far. It has been a little bit scrappy, and I think the break has had quite a bit to do with that. Don't think either have been afforded great chances. And they've gone after difficult ones, haven't quite made it through.
Slightly surprised that Hiten decided to change his break there. I think his last break, he's had 3 so far. His first break wasn't the best, but his second one, I think, although it was bouncing down the table, it still split open nicely. It was just a positional error that really cost him the finish. He's changed and gone for the second ball break and come up dry.
Already looking at reds here, and instantly the first thing you see, the red glued to the 8 ball, could be a problem for him.
I think it does go in the left centre pocket, so oh, that's a loose positional shot though. I was going to say it's all about the transition from the top end of the table to the bottom. If he landed anywhere near, say, straight on one of the reds in the triangle area, you'd back him to clear up, but now he's left himself an awkward cut into the centre pocket, which is going to make the positional side of the shot really difficult.
Pot's good, cue ball isn't.
Ball in hand.
Eddie Barker here is struggling a bit to get himself going. He's a little bit unlucky, but he was playing with fire there in the first place. Cue ball in hand for Hiten Patel. It's not a ginormous advantage with the way his yellows are currently set, but if he can find a way to pot one of these yellows and split open the other two, that would be a really effective first shot. It looks like he can just do that.
I was going to say, no thoughts of potting that one. Thought he might pot that and try and flick one of the yellows out to stay on the other, but you can clearly see the way he's played that he is just playing the snooker. Get one of his balls out, nudge one of them open. All of a sudden, even if Eddie gets out of this, and you expect him to, and he has, well, I was about to say it would give Hiten a good chance, but that little nudge on the yellows made things still awkward here for Hiten.
Yeah, I wonder if Eddie's played that a little bit deliberately. The pace he played it, didn't give much consideration to where the white would land, but it looked like he's deliberately put that red over to the two yellows there to cause a little bit of traffic. Is Hiten attempting a three-ball plan? I think he is. No. Just containing. He's got a bit of a reputation as a shot maker, Hiten Patel. I never rule anything out with him. He never had the angle to make that.
It's about waiting for that right opportunity here for Hiten. He's absolutely in the driving seat. Don't give Eddie anything to go at and wait for the chance. Eddie might be able to cut this back to the bottom right. It'd be really aggressive, but it would be, cue ball will be flying into everything. That's what he's tried, and do you know what? That's not the worst result at all. International 8-ball rules, so potting the yellow is not a foul. Table is just turned over to Hiten Patel, laying out as it is, and all of a sudden he's got a red over both bottom corner pockets and no pot for Hiten to go for.
Yeah. The tables really have just turned, haven't they, with one shot. Manny Barker.
Not really as played, Freddie. I have to say that's a touch fortunate for him to lay the table out like this, but you've got to take it when it comes along. And
oh yeah, I should say, especially with the start that I was about to say enjoyed, but it's been more endured. Oh, I told you he's got a reputation as a shot maker. That is a filthy cut to the middle pocket. Wow!
And look what he was leaving if he doesn't make this. He was forced into it.
Oh.
No safety on whatsoever for him. No way of containing things. So he's taken on that pot with. He's giving the frame away if he misses and he makes it, but he hasn't landed on the next ball nicely.
He deserved to, didn't he? Might have to play another thin cut hit. These middle pockets looking like buckets at the moment for Hiten Patel, and he might have to do another.
I was going to say, he's not landed again. That's really unfortunate not to land better this time, but he's still got a pot into the middle. But
I'd back him to make it after the previous two.
Actually, if he does make this one into the right centre pocket, the cue ball's going to be travelling towards the yellow at the top end of the table, and then from there's a pattern that gets him out. Needs the cue ball to pull up. Needs the cue ball to pull up. It's just rolled 2 or 3 rolls too far. He can still cut this in if he wants to.
It's amazing watching this, isn't it? Hasn't got hold of the cue ball once in this visit here to Patel, but my God, the potting! It's been amazing.
It's giving the right centre pocket a bit of a workout.
Every single one right in the heart of the pocket as well. This is a thin one as well. Oh, and that's the one that doesn't go. What's he leaving? Might have got away with it. Might have even landed himself a snooker there. But I'd imagine Eddie should be able to go cushion first on this one. Oh, that was nearly such a good clearance, wasn't it? The 3 pots to the middle pocket. Oh, absolutely brilliant. The first in particular was ridiculous.
It really was, and you felt just as he managed to get himself into the position where all he has to do is make the pot into the centre, and then he's going to have a good chance to clear up. He overhits the shot and leaves himself awkward, and that's kind of been the pattern of this match so far. Both players struggling to really control the cue ball as well as they would like, and making things difficult for themselves. I think that's why we haven't seen a finish from the break so far. As you said, though, this time it's Hiten's chance turn to get a little bit lucky, not left anything on.
Oh, that had to be precise. And he's got both lucky and unlucky. at the same time. I thought he could play this cushion first, but I was thinking about the other red over the pocket, but he clearly didn't have the angle to do that. Played it cushion first to the opposite side of the table, played it brilliantly.
He's unlucky though, isn't he? He's really unlucky.
Yeah.
So he's having to play cushion first again, and this time he really want to, I think, catch the side cushion before potting the red, so the cue ball comes away. Yeah, if he catches it full ball like that, then he's not going to get the cue ball to come off to the right-hand side and be on the red to the centre pocket. If he plays it two cushion, he's much more likely.
He's a little way off playing it two cushion as well, so I think he has intended to play that full ball, just cut it in. This is now a really tough pot. If it even goes from this angle. I'm not sure it does. I'm still not sure it did. Well, it's been a scrappy match so far, but what a chance this is for Hiten Patel to go 4-1 up with 10 minutes to play. Not been Eddie's night so far. Oh no. Well, that's criminal. All the pots he's made in this frame alone. For Hiten to miss that is astonishing.
Yeah.
That's such a wild miss.
It really is, and shaking his head understandably. It looked like he was trying to play that with a little bit of side to come two cushions to get on the yellow at the bottom of the table. Make sure you're leaving the yellow at the top for your last ball. And that's caused the miss, but it's definitely one that he'll really... Oh, there's another miss. I think both players can sort of sense how important this frame is. 3-2 or 4-1 is...
It's getting jumpy, isn't it?
It's huge.
It's getting really jumpy. Ten-second shot clock now in operation as well. That was the noise you heard on Eddie's last shot. Oh, and that just clipping the jaw, it makes this difficult. Well, Hiten is going to have to go into the magic box of tricks again.
This does go. The cue ball's going to be travelling a long, long way. He's a little bit short, but at least he has a chance to pop this, and the cue ball is going to naturally go up towards the 8 ball. I think the natural angle will leave him on the 8 ball rather than on top of the 8 ball, if that makes sense.
Oh, he's made two brilliant pots there. Just makes the one in the middle of the table look even worse, doesn't it?
It does. It's so surprising.
Blown away by that one. He's made some amazing pots in this frame alone, Hiten Patel. Needs one more. Gets it. 4-1 with 8 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Eddie Barker is backs to the wall here.
It's going to be so frustrating for Eddie because he's had opportunities in this match to not just be closer but almost probably be in front. He's had enough chances in the match to do so. He's just not got control of the cue ball and left himself awkward shots and missed too many balls.
Oh, it was a frame that no one wanted to win at one stage, but the irony, of course, of that is both of them wanted to win it so much. It was a big one. The difference between a 1 frame and a 3 frame deficit with 8 minutes and change remaining. Eddie Barker needs this one. Really needs it. Catches the break beautifully. He's got a starter.
This 15-second shot portion of the match could help Eddie because he's obviously not settled into it at all. He's made mistakes that will really frustrate him, and 15 seconds you haven't got time to think about it. You just have to go on instinct, and almost your mental side of it goes out the window. You are just playing on your natural instinct out there.
I actually totally agree. As part of the afternoon's fun and games here at the venue, the speed pool challenge been in operation again. Each player's had a go, get themselves on the leaderboards on the Ultimate Pool social media channels, but you see Eddie Barker flying around the table, not a care in the world really, each of these players so capable of pot after pot after pot after pot. It's not been the case for Eddie so far in this match.
I think that's okay. I think he can see the one nearest the corner pocket. Yeah, I think from the overhead we can see, oh, the one he's nearest to actually goes through the gap anyway, so it's absolutely fine.
Yeah, beautifully played. And I think you've almost been proven right by the way that this looks. This break so far makes you think, what have you been hanging about at, Eddie Barker? Beautiful break and dish. Where's that been for the last 20 minutes or so?
Combination of frustration and 15 seconds of freedom up there, and that was by far and away his best visit to the table.
By far and away. There's Group 5 at the top of it. And here's the rest of the draw as well. Group 6 coming up next week is a good one. Morgan McInnes, an outstanding player against Sam Bircher. Deb McNamara versus Martin McIntosh will be an interesting one for sure. Turn of Josh Kane in Group 7 will be good. Dom Cooney, Jordan Church is a great match. And Declan Brennan versus only the Bullet Bale. Craig Lake and Callum Ranson. So many good players in this quarter of the draw.
Yes, it is a cracking lineup, but I agree with you that all the players in this quarter of the draw will just be really pleased with some of the big names they've avoided, and all almost fancy the job.
Well, if you're Eddie Barker, now's a chance. Now is a big chance. Hiten breaks dry. It's a pretty good looking split too. Can Eddie Barker turn the screw?
Delicate first shot here. He's cutting this red back, going into the 8-ball yellow and red, that little cluster of 3 balls. Won't be moving it too far, but just, oh no, he's going yellows instead actually, making the yellow into the centre pocket. The reason I thought he'd go reds is the reds at the top end of the table are easier to solve. There's that yellow at the top end that's a real problem ball, and then you've got the yellow by the 8-ball, but I guess that starter on the reds was dangerous.
Oh, that plant was tricky. That plant was tricky. His clearance is tricky too, by the way. This is by no means guaranteed, especially now.
Yeah, that limits the options. Right at the top of the table to continue this visit. And such awkward queuing. Problem for Hiten is that by getting rid of one of those reds at the top, it's made that other yellow that, like I said right at the start of this frame, is going to be a difficult ball here for Eddie. It's opened that up for him.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Yellow by the 8-ball is a big problem for Eddie. That's the one thing you would say. He has got options to go into it. Might even be able to engineer that shot after this one. Needs a good angle. Looks a bit straight on that yellow to me. Let's have a look.
Well,
Bit straight.
Yeah, he was trying to go into it and just not quite the angle he needed, and now he's in no man's land. He's playing it, looks like he's eyeing up the yellow off the red. Cue ball off the side cushion and into the cluster. This will be some shot.
It wasn't a million miles away, but it's brilliant vision, first of all, to be able to see that on a 15-second shot clock. Let's see what Hiten's got for us, because at this stage in the match, yeah, right shot. Has to tie things up.
Yeah, right now there's no thoughts at all for Hiten doing anything other than making this frame last as long as possible. Having a 2-frame lead here.
Foul.
Oh, that'll help.
Even with that foul, he's still not going to think about clearance at all.
Yeah, in a strange way, I feel that foul may end up benefiting Eddie.
Extension call.
Extension called by Hiten, which means he's got 15 extra seconds to think about this.
I think he was just about to pull the trigger, and then he had a sudden thought that if I leave the cue ball on the cushion and I overhit that red, does the yellow at the bottom of the table go? There isn't a gap to get through to it, but I think that's what he was thinking. He just pulled out this shot and realised he had his extension.
It's a tough snooker to hit.
Foul. Ball in hand.
I think it'll be more of the same here from Hiten. It's not pretty, but it's what's going to win in the match. There's no point going for anything else. After a foul in international 8-ball rules, you get cue ball in hand anywhere on the table, but you don't get, like in some other rule sets, a shot on a visit or 2 shots or anything along those lines.
Where's that yellow? Oh, Hiten Patel might have to go for this now. That might have forced his hand. Clever.
Yeah, really clever. Get rid of the yellow that's causing him the problem and leave Eddie nothing to go at. Yellow stays on the side cushion, which is still in Hiten's advantage. They're there for him now if he wants to go for the finish, and he may well take these on.
Yeah, at this point, now's your advantage. Go and win the match. A miss would be bad news because it will give Eddie just enough time to maybe mount a comeback. But Hiten Patel here has done the hard work, and it has been hard work. This match has been graft. It's not been pretty. It's not been easy. But he's almost over the line, or is he? Can Eddie force something dramatic? That could be a big miss. Eddie needs to make this really tough pot though, and he can't.
All Hiten has to do here is just pot the open balls. Don't play for the one on the cushion and risk missing it, which has looked like what he might have been playing there, but 54 seconds left on the clock and 15 seconds a shot. You pot the 4 open balls, you win the match. You don't need to get to 5 frames.
Yeah, Eddie sitting down for me is just a sign of resignation, really.
No, he's going to play it the right way and take the one down the cushion first. There is enough time left for Eddie to put the yellow and the 8-ball. Oh, it's gone in, great shot.
Just got the sense he wasn't missing that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, as I said, he's made hard work of this at times, Hiten Patel. This hasn't been easy. But he is almost there. And he gets the chance to finish it off with a flourish as well. 5-2. And the match is done. Hiten Patel gets himself over the line against Eddie Barker. A frustrating one for Eddie. But Hiten is into tonight's final. These are the stats in the end. Some fouls, some missed pots, a little bit of everything. Not quite there for Eddie in the end.
Yeah, not quite there for either player, really. Both players struggled a little bit. I think Eddie just made more mistakes. The one thing that we don't see on the stats there is that it was neither player could really get hold of that cue ball and pick out some good routes when they had their chances, and they were always leaving themselves awkward shots. And then at the last couple of frames there, the missed pots and fouls really started to rack up for both players. So not the greatest match we've ever seen, but Hiten will be really pleased that he's made it through, and for Eddie, he'll have to go away and put some time in and come back for the next event.
Yeah, he certainly will. Disappointing one for Eddie Barker, but Hiten Patel is through to tonight's final. He player one of Karl Sutton or Ben Flack. That second semi is on its way for you when we return.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. Stephen Jameson and Son, we're back with you. Second game of the night is a belter for you. It's coming up very, very shortly. Ben Flack against Karl Sutton. What a great lineup this one is. One of the best fixtures in this quarter of the draw, I think, from the outset. Two outstanding players with real pedigree in the world rule side of the game, it's safe to say. Both England internationals, and both got some serious titles to their name as well. The winner of this will head through to tonight's final to face Hiten Patel, who has seen off the challenge of Eddie Barker. It's Ben Flack to break. And he's made a ball. And it's a great break. This is what you hope to see if you're Ben Flack. That's a lovely spread. Great chance here in this opening frame.
Brilliant start that. That's doesn't look like he's breaking with extreme power, but the technique and all the power he's putting into it is going straight through that pack, and they just exploded when he contacted them and given himself a great chance in this opening frame.
Red ball's in play.
I agree with you as well. I think this is one of the matchups of this quarter of the draw. Very tough match to call. Whoever wins this match will go into the group final tonight as the slight favourite.
Yeah, both these two know each other really well. And a real clash of two very, very talented players. Two European champions. 3 European titles between the pair of them.
All fairly recently as well, in the last 5-6 years or so.
I think Carl did his 2016. I think Ben was 2018, maybe, top of my head.
2018, 2014, I think, yeah. Yeah, but loads and loads of titles between these two players. They really have racked up many titles.
And one thing you could say about, in terms of a difference between them, is certainly in terms of style. Carl can play quick, he's used to doing that. A lovely flow about him around the table. Ben is definitely more deliberate. Having a chat with him before we got going tonight, and having a little bit of a laugh and a joke about the shot clock. Warned us to book some time off work tomorrow if we wanted to see a speed pool challenge, that sort of thing. Sort of infamously known for being a bit slow around the table. But he's also, by that same token, known for having a real grit about him too. He's stoic.
Yeah, he's a very methodical player. The one thing we haven't seen from Ben, we have from Carl. We haven't seen how he's going to handle that quickest section of the match. We saw Carl in the previous tournament. Didn't go his way that night, but he has had that experience of it. And playing with such a short shot clock isn't obviously a first miss of the match from Ben. Just saying that playing with such a short clock isn't usual for these players. They're still getting used to it, and I think that will help Carl, the fact that he's had one go at it already.
Surprising miss actually for Ben. Shake of the head from him too. And it's what he wouldn't have been expecting to miss. Wasn't an easy pot by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not a pot you expect him to not make. Good chance here for Karl Sutton then to come and sweep up. You can see he's already aware of that shot clock.
Awkward first shot though, hasn't been left anything easy. This is trickier than the ball that Ben missed. And he's missed it himself.
Got away with it.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time, don't we? Punishing mistakes, and okay, yes, Ben was lucky to get away with it in a way that he didn't leave anything easy, but that was an opportunity for Carl to step in and punish an early mistake and get himself underway. If Carl completes the finish here like we expect him to, he'll completely forget about the mistake that he did make. Straight's not ideal, and you just saw that from that previous camera angle. This is pretty straight. He would much rather have left it 3/4 ball just to drift in for the 8 ball in the same pocket. If he's straight, he can top through for the 8 ball to the top left, but he might try and punch this in and pinch a bit of the pocket. No, he's just going to top through. Makes the 8 ball just that fraction more missable.
This for the first frame of the night for Ben Flack. Carl Sutton watches on. Oh, he's missed out by a long way.
Yeah, that's just a very surprising miss, but also the reaction. Just wonder if there was a poor contact here, just going by the reaction of Ben. Difficult to tell from that overhead.
He knew straight away, didn't he? He can't believe it. This one shouldn't be in doubt for Carl Sutton.
Just checking he can get through to the left hand of those 2 yellows. That'll open up the other yellow as well.
Well, the last time Ben missed, Carl had a really tough clearance. This one is a little bit easier. Just been made a little bit more difficult though. Can he get through to that yellow at the top of the table? I think he can. Although the time he's taking over it makes me think that he can't.
Slightly annoyed with how he's left this. Would have expected it to be a lot easier than he has. Delicate plant in the centre. Wants to make sure the yellow doesn't travel too far up the table, the one he's actually hitting. That's okay.
He's recovered that really well in the end. But yeah, a little shake of the head. Both players, I think, a little bit jumpy in the first frame here. It's only natural. Big game and a big tournament under the lights here on Free Sports. It should be Carl who gets the first frame here. It should have been Ben. And not one but 2 excellent opportunities. Couldn't quite make it count. Carl Sutton. Can. 1-0.
Frame.
To Carlos Sutton, as he's very well known. Man from Lowestoft. He's the 2016 European champion, as well as the UK Tour winner 4 times. 2016 World runner-up as well. He's currently ranked number 3 in the WEPF rankings. Top player, and really well respected in this form of the game as well.
Yeah, no doubt as well. You know, it's a lot of titles. You know, they're the highlights, but he does win a lot of titles in various competitions up and down the country, as well as the ones we saw on that list. And to be ranked number 3, and yeah, he is a very highly respected and talented pool player.
Carl Sutton to break, leading 1 frame to 0.
He'll be pleased that that miss in the opening frame didn't cost him. Actually very surprising to see both players have, well, there was 3 misses in that opening frame, 2 from Ben, 1 from Carl. Not what we expect from 2 players at this level, but there's some nerves out there and some pressure out there.
Hammer of a break, by the way. Carl has crunched those. He has hit them beautifully. That yellow just a slow. The only downside he had with that break, because it wasn't a particularly kind split. It's even less kind now.
Yeah, that didn't work out for him. This will just be a containing shot. Cut your losses and turn the table over.
Pretty good containing shot too. Ben Flack has to think about this because these yellows do now both go at the top of the table.
Good shot from Carl, that was. Put the pressure on Ben. Ben wasn't able to come up with a big shot, and now here is the chance for Carl to win this frame. 2 yellows at the top of the table. Now with that safety shot he played, have both been nudged into potable positions. It makes all the difference to the clearance.
Yeah, it really does. Thought at the time it was a good shot from Carl, and so it's proved to be. Couldn't win the frame at the first opportunity. If you can't do that, ensure you have a second, and that's what he should have done here.
He's still going to need to play one good shot, going from the bottom of the table to the top of the table. Maybe on that yellow to the top left now. That's what he wants to do. If not, if he has to play the one at the bottom of the table first, then he has to hit a very small gap, and a couple of very tricky positional shots required. But he's eyeing up the top of the table, so I think he's fine.
Yeah, should be okay. Just needs to slide past that red down the left side of the table. Just needs to hit the gap on his final yellow to land on that 8 ball, which is a touch congested. But he should have plenty of gap here. It looks pretty straight. Great chance for Carl to go 2-0 up here.
Right in the heart of the pocket for Carl. Very nicely cued shot, and simple task of dropping that 8 ball in. And an excellent frame of Paul for Karl Sutton. Wasn't able to make the clearance on his first visit to the table with the first chance, but very good safety shot. Earned himself the second opportunity, and no mistakes from there. So 2-0 lead, and starting to put the pressure on to Ben Flack now. Well, Stephen Jameson has popped out of the commentary box. He's now with Hiten Patel.
I certainly am. Hiten, you've made it through that match against Eddie. That looked tough going out there. Did it feel like tough going?
Yes, it was, yeah. It was difficult out there with the, conditions and that, yeah. But it wasn't the greatest match, but it's nice to get through.
Is that just what the overriding emotion? Just put that out the back of your mind now. That one's done.
Yeah.
Just get through and job done.
Yeah, well, to be honest, mine went pretty blank. I didn't use my extension. I forgot all about it until I think the last frame or something. And even though he was using it, I just never thought of using it. And it would have helped me using the extension at some point. But
just some pre-match nerves, was it?
Possibly, yeah. I felt comfortable out there, but just the extension. I'll have to remember that on the next match. Hopefully, and play a little bit better, obviously, against one of these two.
Well, you've got a great match in prospect, whoever you end up playing. Does that first one give you a little bit of confidence now? That one's out the way.
Yeah.
You're into it, settle down.
That's right.
And play your best ball in the second.
Ball's in play.
Yeah, it does. So I've had a little table time. So the next match, hopefully, I'll have to improve, as I said. But yeah, hopefully get through the next one, mate. Yeah.
Well, we wish you all the very best of luck, Hiten. Best of luck when you play either one of these two. It's going to be a good match.
All right, thank you.
As we rejoin the match, dry break this time from Ben Flack, given Karl Sutton the first opportunity again, but missed that plant. So Ben is at the table, but it's not an inviting table for Reds here. Especially when you've lost the opening 2 frames, this is not the layout you want to be looking at, but he'll just be happy to be at the table.
Yeah, it's sort of a similar sort of frame that we saw plenty of times in that first match. Let me speak to Hiten there, and you just get the sense, don't you? He was feeling very much how I expected him to be feeling, where he's just relieved just to get through that match. I think both players were finding it really difficult out there.
Yeah, it's not easy. There's pressure out there. There's, these guys aren't getting a huge amount of match practice at the moment with everything that's going on around the world. And okay, things are starting to open up a little bit more, but it's not easy to always go out there and perform at your best. And over the first 4 weeks of this competition, we've seen some brilliant performances. But this game isn't that easy, and I think Hiten will be very, very relieved to be through. And you can always improve if you manage to stay in the competition.
Yes, that's what he alluded to, wasn't it? Hopefully a bit of a nerve settler. But he did say he felt good whilst he was out there. So, mind you, I mean, you've experienced that enough times there. Oh, well.
Ben Flack.
Oh. Well, Ben Flack needed a frame on the board. He's just got one in the most unlikely of circumstances. Oh, do you look at that? Carl Sutton with a sickener. A freebie for Flack.
Could be a massive freebie as well. Ben hadn't settled in the match, struggling to get chances, and all of a sudden he's been given a gift.
He certainly has. This is Ben from Bristol, 42-year-olds. Q is unknown. He's had it that long. Has no idea of its origins. That's quite a common story that we hear. But as you see there, he's a UK Tour winner, two-time European champion, as well as a World Master in 2009. A really respected player on the tour. We alluded to that earlier. I think you had a bit of an interview with Carl before things got going ahead of time, and you sort of asked him who's the player that with the most bottle, and he said tonight's opponent.
Yeah, he's known for taking that anchor role in the England team, taking the frame with the most pressure on it, and dealing with that well.
Yeah, we were chatting to Lee Kendall, weren't we, fellow England international. He said, yeah, Ben's always the one to take on the final frame. When we need a frame to win, he's the one we put into bat. And it's a huge mark of respect, really, isn't it? It's a real sign to the sort of mentality that he has about him.
Very different pressure, though, playing those international matches where you're playing for your country. You've got your whole team and your whole country on your one frame, and that really is a very different pressure to being out there yourself and playing a race to 8 like we are today. But if you can handle that, you can handle anything. But
I know you're used to that as well as a former England international yourself. Would you say it's more pressure playing in a team, or just the same but different?
I think it's more pressure. It's very different. It's a very different feeling out there and a very different type of pressure. But I think it is more pressure. More of a pressure situation, because you feel like rather than just letting yourself down, if you're letting your teammates down, it really is. That's the hardest part of that sort of situation.
Carl Sutton back at the table and with a chance to make this 3-1 and to forget all about the last frame. Big error. Could well be a costly one when we look back at the end of this match, but you'll very much be hoping that that's not the case. This red, I think, just about cuts back.
Not sure if he can hold or get into the red. Yes, he can. And that's a lovely result for him.
Oh, that's come out lovely, hasn't it?
I'm assuming he can see the red over the top corner pocket. If he can't, and that yellow may be in the way, and he's having a very good look, then it's tricky. But I think he can get to it.
Or can he? There's your answer. Wow. He must have been an inch off perfect. He's actually had quite a bit more gap there to hit. Missed the yellow by about an inch. And that was all it would have taken. Were you surprised to see him not go cushion first, maybe? Ignore the plant altogether?
No, I think
white to hold, I guess.
Well, when we saw the replay and we saw the gap past the yellow to be able to make the plant, I think the plant was the controllable shot. I'm surprised he's missed it, and he's actually missed it by quite a distance there. I thought he would have got a little bit closer than that, and he'll be annoyed that he hasn't managed to get closer than that. Just shows, though, when you're cannoning into balls and you leave it as late in the visit, there's only a couple of balls left on the table when he did that. That it can go wrong. That's why we talk about trying to get your cannons out of the way as early as possible.
Oh, no. There's something in the air tonight, I think, Simon. Every player to a man so far has found it tough.
Well, this game just isn't that easy. I keep telling myself that. He's got away with it to some extent. I think this red cuts back, but he can't control the cue ball. I think the cue ball's guaranteed to go into the yellow. And it would have done if he made the pot. So second opportunity for Ben Flack. And I have to say, there's been more mistakes in this match than I thought in the first 4 frames than I thought we'd see in the whole match.
Yeah, comfortably. And I think we've seen more mistakes tonight than in the 4 weeks combined previous.
I think it's a fair call.
Just been a strange sort of night tonight. One of our 4 players as yet has settled and looked really comfortable.
And you feel the player that will settle down has got a great chance of going on and not just winning, whether it's Ben or Carl or Hiten in the next match, but if the player that manages to settle down the quickest and find their natural game is probably going to be the player that goes on and makes it out of tonight.
Does have that feeling about it, doesn't it? It's a great chance now there for Ben. And honestly, with some of the couple of missed pots that he's had, which have been pretty glaring, if he comes out the opening sort of half of this match and he's still level, don't think he'll mind that too much. Chance to reset. Go again.
Yeah, he won't believe, assuming Bendo's go on and complete this finish, he won't believe that he's 2-2. He will have expected the way he played those first 4 frames to be 4-0 down.
Oh, for all square, Ben Flack for 2-2. Desmond.
Frame.
After 20 or so minutes, we are all square. We talked about the draw. This is the 3rd quarter of the draw, groups 9, 10, 11 and 12. This low-key might be one of my favourites. Some amazing matchups in this one. Like Simon Fitzsimmons, Mike King. How about Lee Kendall, Gav Robinson, Ren McCarthy, Emma Cunningham. Ryan Davies, I can't wait to watch. He's got a great opening draw as well against Craig Waddingham, who's been deep in so many good tournaments. Aaron Davies, Shane Thompson's a cracker.
Frame number 5.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to that match right at the bottom. John Chambers versus Sac Shepherd. Really looking forward to seeing John on Free Sports, see how he gets on. Very entertaining player to watch.
And Ben's not going to make a ball. And this looks open. Yeah, this is one of those where you look at it and you think, well, Carl Sutton, this is your nerve settler. These are all there. For a player of his ability, you'd expect them all to go.
And it's just what you want after giving away a couple of frames. Get yourself back in front.
And he has given them away as well. Don't two ways about it. They've been truly thrown away. First with the 8-ball going in off, which was user error. Yes, a little unlucky, but shouldn't have happened. And then the last frame when he had 2 chances to go and win the frame. Couldn't take either. This is a welcome bit of relief potentially.
No real problems to work out. Everything goes. Just pick that route. That looks to be perfect. I was just thinking if he gets nicely on the next ball, and it could all be fairly routine and roll-ins from there, and he's not far away. Takes the one to the top right. I think there's enough room just to land a shade high on the yellow to the left centre. You can just drift down to yellow at the bottom of the table, take that to the bottom right, and you're straight in for the 8 ball. Anyway, it could go slightly awkward is if he leaves this next shot short.
Yeah, should be fine now. Shouldn't be any further problems. It's been a bit more like it from Karl Sutton, and I dare say he will feel like he's needed this. Karl Sutton gets over the line. It's 3-2 to Karl Sutton. He takes the lead with exactly half of this match gone.
Red ball's in play.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Welcome back. You have just missed a fantastic clearance by Ben Flack. Wiped away in no time at all. Dry break from Carl. And a super clearance from Ben Flack. This is how it finished. Delicate little cut into the middle. And a fairly routine 8 ball to the opposite. But we were watching that clearance through the break time. Some lovely shots within it. That was a confident clearance. And 2 frames in a row now, one from each player. Excuse me, one from each player where they're actually looking back at their best.
Yeah, grabbed control of the cue ball and made it look simple.
And wouldn't you know it, Ben breaks dry. I think that's 3 in a row now. And each of the last 2 times, the opposite player has come in and cleared up. As Carl got an opening gambit, it looks like yellows. which have
Yellow ball's in
a
play.
problem ball. Bottom left of the table, underneath the reds. It's not an easy one to solve either. It's got a yellow in close proximity, which will make that a little bit easier, but not the easiest. And he's got the sort of top half of the table to deal with first. He could go into it here. Oh, lovely. Lovely shot.
Worked that one out really well, didn't he? Playing it that way, you're likely to be on another ball, even if you don't land on the ball you're playing, and that's exactly what's happened. Yellow to the bottom right.
It's the perfect cannon though, wasn't it? Because he probably could have made it work by going into the red first, but it wouldn't have been ideal. But that was picture perfect how he would have wanted to play it.
Yeah, and the problem if he went into the red as well, or red first, then the red could have got in the way of the yellow that's down that part of the table as well. So the fact that he got yellow first just cleans or keeps it clear for the other yellow.
Yeah, beautifully played by Karl Sutton. Oh, is that red going to tie the 8 ball up? No, he's okay. That's exactly where he wants to be at all. He's still just about alive in this frame. Just needs to figure out his route again. It's not where he wants it to be.
Yeah, it's awkward. It's actually awkward to get from the yellow in the middle of the table to the last yellow, and then the 8 ball. It might just drop in the centre pocket. I mean, it does drop in the centre pocket if you finish right behind it, but it's not ideal. Double may be easier.
Well, he had a look at the 8 ball into the centre pocket a moment ago after the cannon he played, and it looked tight then. But he's lining this one up. Shot clock ticking. Extension called. This is a key point in this match, you feel.
He's just off straight the wrong way to get onto this yellow. It is really awkward. And in the end, I don't really think he knew what he was doing there. Tried to play that with lots of left-hand side, but that's not helped him at all. He's absolutely nowhere. I think time got the better of him there, and he ended up rushing the shot.
I was just wondering, I think he is. Yeah, I think he's got a big problem. He can get through, just couldn't quite make the potting angle. Tying up the red isn't the worst result in the world. But you felt like you'd done all the hard work there in that visit, Karl Sutton, with the cannon down the left side rail. But one bad positional shot and it all went awry. And once again, he's left pondering in the corner what could have been.
He was a lot closer to being on that yellow than I thought he was by his reaction. It just shows if he could have potted that ball in the middle of the table off the thick part of the draw. He actually potted it almost on the thin part of the draw. If he pots it on the thick part, he's probably on that yellow.
Agreed.
Now he should go on and lose this frame. Nice little shot from Ben, purposely trying to move that red nearest the 8 ball, just to try to develop 2 balls in one shot and leave the snooker.
Yeah, clever. Bottom cushion first. Easy hit. Has he hit a ball after contact? Or if we had a little good look at it, I think he's okay.
Yeah, I think
cue ball was the ball in the end.
Yeah, I think he got a little double kiss, which just helped him. I thought for a second he was going to go bottom cushion, side cushion, and just rest into the yellow, which would have been a foul. Have to hit that cushion after contact, even if you're in a total snooker like he was there.
Oh, it's a lovely pot. Seen him as a couple of dollies in the early going in this game, Ben Flack, but he's just warming up a little bit. Don't think he's played an awful lot in the sort of last year or so, and might just be heating up as the night wears on. Has he left that an angle through? I think Karl should be able to see the right side of the yellow as we look at it. I don't think he can see the potting angle. But is he going to have maybe a chance at making something happen here? He's looking at the angle he'll have. was initially wondering if you could maybe play a double. I don't think so, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, when you're in this situation, though, you are always looking for a way of trying to get the ball you're trying to hit, the one yellow on the table, like in this occasion, going towards a pocket, because you know that if the tactical battle plays out, you are not going to come out on top of it. So you have to try and take any half a chance or quarter of a chance that comes your way, and that's what he was trying to do there. As long shot as it was to try and come off 2 cushions and pop that in the centre, that's the sort of thing you have to look for at times. So cue ball in hand, anywhere on the table for Ben Flack, means he can get nicely on this one by the 8 ball, and just needs to leave himself one good angle to develop that red on the left-hand side.
Twofold shot, just developed the 8 ball into something easy. Was a little bit difficult where it was, but now it's unmissable really from anywhere on the table. So big shot coming up. He's the wrong side of this red to the bottom left, so he's not going to go into the 2 balls here. Might just take the ball over the top right and work from there. That's his goal, isn't it? I think he's going to use eventually the red that's in the triangle area, finish a little low on it and use that angle to work across into the red and the yellow.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised, and I could see the benefits of playing the shot he did, knocking the 8 ball out with his first shot. But that's your opportunity to give yourself the perfect angle to develop that bad red. So I thought he was going to take the one down the rail and work himself a perfect angle to try and cannon that ball out, and he decided against it in the end. And I guess that's not surprising that he's decided against it previously, so he isn't going to push the boat out now. He's got the tactical advantage. He's going to wait.
Sensible. So now he gets Carl to do it for him. Carl doesn't want to let that red go to the bottom pocket. I don't think he has. But now Ben knows that yellow does go, so now he has to be a little bit more aggressive. Can't just rely on hitting a snooker.
Normal circumstances, you want to play a safety shot off your bad ball, but I don't think Ben can do that this time off the red near the yellow, because you risk bringing the yellow into play for Karl Sutton. So he has to leave it where it is and just look for another good snooker.
Danger is, if he doesn't hit the snooker, he leaves the pot, and I think he's left the pot.
He may not quite be able to get to the potting angle, but he can certainly see it full ball, but it's very tight whether he can. He's having a good look.
He'll be close. Couldn't quite, but certainly will do next time, that's for sure.
Yeah, and a slight missed opportunity, I think, for Karl Sutton, because he wanted the white to stay very much behind that red. He didn't want to leave Ben a shot at any of the other reds in the open, because it now gives Ben a chance to lay a snooker, whereas if the cue ball was welded up against the red it's nearby now, it would have made Ben's shot almost impossible.
Great tactical battle. In the heat of battle here. 10 minutes left, 3 apiece. 15-second shot clock now in play.
Oh, I think that was okay. It just got the yellow before the side cushion, I think. Our referee was right on hand, and I think it's made a very good call there. We talked about Ben Flack's.
Oh, he nearly pulled a rabbit out of the hat there, didn't he?
Oh, I was just going to say, we've talked about Ben Flack's, how he's going to handle the 15 seconds, and he was almost caught out straight away, and that's going to cost him the frame.
He did have an extension, but I don't think he was aware of it. We talked about, well, we heard from Hiten rather, he in the heat of battle forgot about the extensions, and I think that's ended up costing Ben there. He could have had an extra 15 seconds, which he did need at that juncture. But in the end, it's Karl Sutton who takes a not decisive lead, but potentially a big lead.
Yeah, and I have to say that was an excellent shot from Karl. He was in all sorts of trouble, really. He should have lost that frame, but to be able to come out on top with a great shot, you know, it's going to put him in good position now.
Let's take a look at this final quarter of the draw. What a quarter this is. Neil Rayburn in action. Mamoun Sheed, the Moroccan, with Carl Boyce, Scott Gillespie and John Rowe. That's maybe my favourite group of the lot. How about Michael Hill, Sean Chipperfield in the Battle of the World Champions in Group 15. Probably my tie of the rounds, just about.
Yeah, there's a few.
That's the beautiful thing, isn't it? We really could say that about so many, but me personally, if both players come to play, Sean Chipperfield, Michael Hill will be an absolute banger.
Yeah, very entertaining players to watch. Sean certainly is. He likes to get on with it. He won't struggle with the 15 seconds, that's for sure.
He could play a whole. Yeah, he could play a whole best of 17 at a 15-second shot clock. Sean Chipperfield.
He'd certainly be in favour of it, that's for sure. He'd gain an advantage. But the nice thing about that last quarter of the draw as well, it's a very international flavour as well. We've got some players coming over for it as well, which is fantastic to see.
Malta and Morocco off the top of my head there.
Yeah, a couple from Morocco and Hiten Patel from Malta. Great young player.
Karl not hanging about. We saw this with Eddie in our last match against Hiten, where actually the 15-second shot clock sort of helped him just get a little bit of rhythm going and just start seeing the game a little bit clearer. Both these players have struggled at times. It's been a funny sort of night for that, but Karl Sutton's made this look simple. Great frame to win if you're Karl Sutton. Go 2 up. With 7.5 minutes remaining. It's enough time for Ben Flack. Loads of time to win 2 frames. But this next one will be massive. Karl Sutton makes it 5-3. 7.5 minutes to go. Ben Flack needs to win this next frame, you feel?
Yeah, and that's just punishing Ben Flack to the max there by Karl Sutton. He managed to win a frame he probably shouldn't have done once he obviously had the first opportunity in the previous frame, but once he didn't take it, he felt it was Ben Flack's frame to lose, and the fact that he did lose it, you've punished it even more by hammering in a very quick break dish to get that 2-frame advantage, and everything looks to be going Karl Sutton's way right now.
Frame number 9. Ben Flack to break, trailing by 5 frames to 3.
Ben struggled a bit with his break tonight, needs one here. Oh no, it's the last thing he wanted.
Look at the cue
made
ball.
A ball somehow.
I was going to say, look at that cue ball spinning, does not strike this break well.
He's made a ball, and I tell you what, bizarrely, I think there's a finish on here. I don't think the reds are terrible.
Red ball's in play.
Yeah, even that 8 ball I think might go. It's very tight, the 8 ball, but yeah, the reds aren't too bad.
It's a 3-point rule, remember, for the break, and potting one really helped him there, because I think he wouldn't have had it without the pot.
Yeah, and looking at that camera angle, I think the 8 ball does go. Okay, so the 2 reds at the bottom of the table, they are awkward. They're solvable, but awkward. He could play a cannon, he could play them as a plant, so probably the bottom left if he went the plant route, but depends how he'd ended up. I'm slightly surprised he's played into the 8 ball. Maybe it didn't quite go. I thought the previous camera angle showed that it did, and that cannon has not worked out for him. He's in much worse shape now. Although, at least he has be able to pot this and go into the probably only the widest of the 2 reds, which isn't going to help him a huge amount. Or is he playing this off the yellow? He's trying.
Oh, it's a really good effort. Don't think it's quite come out. He's unlucky. It's a really good try. Is there a way he can make this red up the table? Or is he going to have to try and play a plant? Can he even squeeze through? He could! Can't get it to drop.
Didn't quite have the potting angle. Tried to play this with a lot of right-hand side and turn it in, but you can see how close he got.
Karl then. with a big chance. Not the easiest of clearances this, because he can't work with the right side of the table. He can't really afford to... Oh, is he going to play a skill shot? He's just going to contain. It's a containing shot. Oh, it's a really good one too. It's great white.
It's brilliant. It really is.
That's a brilliant shot.
I was wondering whether he'd take the skill shot on. If he was going to do that, he'd have taken the one nearest the one at the corner, with a much easier skill shot. But the fact that he decided there was no thought at all of making the skill shot. It was just make that one over the pocket and get the snooker.
I tell you what,
brilliant.
I did think when Ben was lining that one up, if he gets good contact on it, he'll go close to potting it. He did.
He certainly did, yeah.
Nearly turned the frame on his head there. But Karl now with the chance. He's got the angle here to go into the red and the yellow, I think. He'll naturally take the yellow over the pocket out of the equation. Oh, he's got the angle to pot that yellow. I didn't think that went to the bottom left. Looking off that camera angle, I think it does. I thought that was still a big problem for him. I don't think so.
Yeah, he's now playing the clock, just waiting for the beeps. Oh, he didn't. It didn't go. He did. You're absolutely right. Your eyes are right there, because he's just.
I thought I was missing something.
Yeah.
I just couldn't work out what I was missing. It's another very clever safety shot, actually, from Karl Sutton, because he's left Ben barely anything to go at. Karl here surely goes and wins the frame.
Does need a good positional shot to get onto the yellow into the left centre. He may well come up and decide to play it as a plant. No, he has played for it in the centre pocket, and he has played that good positional shot.
Big frame to win. It was the swing frame, this one. Were we in for a grandstand finish, or was Karl Sutton about to go and take it out? We've got our answer. When the chips were down, Karl Sutton has found a way to win. And it looks like he's going to be able to win this one all the way through too, barring an absolute miracle from Ben Flack. Karl Sutton, 6-3 up with just under 3 minutes to go. Ben Flack, metaphorically and somewhat literally requiring snookers here.
Yeah, he's in a bit of trouble, and he's going to really look back on this match and be thinking about that 8th frame, not winning that tactical battle where he had all the, he had all the control in the world, and that frame's going to hurt him. 4-4, 5-3. It's a big difference at that time in the match, going into the last 10 minutes, and the break dish that followed really is probably the end for Ben Flack in this match.
Frame 10. Karl Sutton to break.
Karl Sutton should have broken the back of this match now. Can he end it in style? Well, there's your answer.
Foul.
Style, maybe. He's thrown that cue ball into the pocket here.
It absolutely flies in.
Red ball's in play.
Well, playing quick doesn't suit Ben, as we talked about earlier, but he's got no choice to now. And he's a little bit helped by the fact that these reds are all out in the open for him. Should be able to make this 6-4 fairly speedily too, barring any problems.
Just that one red below the 8 ball, that's just awkward. Doesn't go to its obvious pocket, the bottom left, which is why Ben's tried to develop it for that pocket by trying to clear the pocket out, and he may well have just cleared enough of it. Might be able to play cushion, then the yellow and in.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to play on it now. Or could go straight in. Great shot.
This is tricky now, though. How do you land on that last red? Got to avoid all those yellows. If he plays this with lots of... Well, he looked like he was queuing up with a huge amount of left-hand side. I'm not sure he can land on this next ball. He's tried. Oh, and that flick helps. That flick massively helps.
Great shot, isn't it? Arguably his best clearance of the night so far. if he can sink these final two. Not guaranteed. It's a tough shot down the rail. Well, I swear it was. Made that look very easy. And 2 from home, or 2 from tied rather, I should say, for Ben Flack.
Frame.
Minute 4 seconds, 3 seconds remaining. He will have the next break, probably needs a golden break here. And then another bit of luck. Just having a little examine of the clock there. Probably knows he is massively odds against, but Carl Sutton can't sit comfortably. Golden break throws. It's just that little extra, isn't it? Just keeps us interested at this stage of the match. But he's going to be able to. He's going to have to hit the break a lot better than he has been doing to have any chance of that. Well, the 8 ball was moving. He's hit the break beautifully, but he's not going to make a ball, and that one should ice this as a contest. Well, it was up in the air for a while in that one, Simon, but it looks like Carl's just going to have enough to get over the line. Just.
Yeah, and I think both players, especially in the early part of this match, made a couple more mistakes than we expected them to, and I suspect they expected themselves to. And once Carl got himself 2-0 in front, you thought he was going to go on, and he was playing with some really good stuff at that point. But the mistakes then from him, with the potting the black mid-frame and missing a couple in the next frame, it kind of let Ben into the match, and then Ben started playing good, and all of a sudden we thought it was going to be tight. But yeah, that 8th frame, it all came down to the 8th frame for me.
Well, Carl's still going to end with a flourish. You won't quite have time to make the 8 ball, but all the yellows there were beautifully done. Carl Sutton gets himself over the line. Wasn't pretty at times. Similar to our first match, it wasn't always the easiest for both players, but Carl Sutton, as we talked about, found a way to win. And win he did. Big one for Carl Sutton. He goes through tonight's final to take on Hiten Patel. And Simon, it didn't come down to a lot. There was a juncture there where it was 3-3, and that's where you feel this game was won and lost, don't you? Yeah, well, it's actually, I think it was the 8th frame when it was, it was either going to be 5-3 or 4-4, and Ben had the complete control, and he decided to keep waiting for the right opportunity to go for it. And I, at the time, I was saying you can't really argue against that, but that was a brilliant shot from Carl Sutton, where he could come off a couple of cushions, managed to snooker Ben, and Ben had not a lot more than being able to come off a cushion and hit and hope that he was going to get it safe, and he didn't on this occasion. And he wasn't helped by the fact that was the moment that 15 seconds came in as well, and it caught him a little bit off guard, and he ended up having to rush the shot. And for me, that one shot, that was the pivotal moment in the match. And I think if Ben wins that, then we could be talking about a completely different result. Well, there you have it, Carl Sutton through to tonight's final. He will take on Hiten Patel for a spot in the last 16. Those two go toe-to-toe when we return.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports, week 5 of this enthralling competition, and we have our last 32 match, our final from tonight. Ben Flack has been eliminated. Karl Sutton goes through to the final against Hiten Patel. Eddie Barker falling by the wayside there. So we have 2 left, Simon, and 2 players who both, I think, will be just pretty relieved to be here. Both matches haven't been kind to any of the players, really. They've both had to battle, and now they're finally here. Maybe all bets are off, have some free-flowing pool. Maybe, who knows? It's been one of those nights tonight. Yeah, I think the fact that both players have had that first match they've got going, they've won the match, that will give them some confidence. Neither player will be happy with the form they showed in that match, but both players did enough to be able to get over the line. Yes, they made some mistakes, but they're queuing and they're up and running, so I think we may well see a very different match. But of course, you never know what's going to happen with the balls. If the balls open up nicely in the first couple of frames and they get off to good starts, then we might see a nice open match. If the balls continue to be tight and awkward, then it might be more of the same, but I guess we'll find out. Funny old game, isn't it? At times it's strange because winning doesn't always necessarily breed confidence in pool, does it? Playing well and clearing tends to. It's a strange sort of mentality, but they both have to try and find a way through at the moment, because it has been difficult for all players.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, a lot of players will look at clearing from the break and free-flowing and open pool as, that means I'm playing well. But actually there's a lot more to it, and the timing of certain shots and the ability to scrap away and win a frame that you shouldn't win, like Carl did in that last match that's actually won, for me, that's won in that match. That means that you have to be playing some good pool to be able to do that. So it's not always about the big free-flowing open pool.
Well, it certainly isn't, but let's hope so for tonight's final. Hey, let's hope so. You can go to live pictures of the arena right about now. Our two players are just about ready to go. Hiten Patel and Karl Sutton. Hiten will have the break. One thing that was going fairly well for him in that first match for Hiten was the break, but just as I say that, Carl's going to get the first chance, and a good chance too, looking at this early on. We'll hear from Carl as well in a moment. Caught up with him in the gap between the matches. Get his thoughts as this match wears on, but it did seem to be in pretty good nick when we saw him practicing earlier. Just flying around the table, putting things everywhere. And actually, as the match wore on,
the other balls in play.
You saw that definitive improvement, didn't you? I think both players started poorly, both Ben and Carl, by their extraordinarily high standards. We're talking about two European champions here. Both did start poorly, but Carl did get demonstratively better, didn't he?
He did. He made a couple of finishes from the break and a couple of really key shots that helped him win that match. And I don't think he was a mile off. Okay, he didn't play his best. He'll probably admit that himself, but it doesn't mean he was a mile away from playing his best. But sometimes you have to scrap away, and he did that well. They both did, to be honest. He'd like to make a statement here, coming straight back off the table, to take this first opportunity out. And that first shot he played was fantastic. He managed to put the cue ball exactly where he needed to be able to pot the yellow in the centre, and that's the key here. It's opened everything up for him.
We have seen on multiple occasions when we've had the two matches into one, as we have in this format, that the winner of the second match sometimes comes into the final a touch cold. You'd think it'd be the other way around, but I think the adrenaline of winning the match just sort of crashes, and they actually don't tend to roll straight through. Actually, for Carl, just feel like he never got fully going in that first match, and actually it could be the reverse tonight, which is just what he'd need.
I think it'd be something to keep an eye on throughout the tournament, is how the players perform going straight back on the table, and the players that have had to wait to see who they're going to be playing in the next match.
Oh, Carl's not put a ball out of line here. That cue ball has been on a string this entire visit. Statement of intent from Karl Sutton, who goes 1-0 up in tonight's final. No problem. And as I mentioned, we had a chance to catch up with Carl in between the victory over Ben and joined by Karl Sutton moments after he's got the victory. Carl, that was a tough match against Ben, I know. Pleased you to get the win in the end.
Yeah, wish I could play better, but win's a win, a result over performance. It was always going to be tough against Ben. He's a great player. So yeah, very happy to win.
It looked tough out there. It seems to be something in the air tonight, I think, but all players have struggled. Is it one of those where you can almost feel it within the... Yeah, joined by Karl Sutton moments after he's got the victory. Carl, that was a tough match against Ben, I know. Pleased you to get the win in the end.
Yeah, wish I could play better, but win's a win, a result over performance. It was always going to be tough against Ben. He's a great player. So yeah, very happy to win.
It looked tough out there. It seems to be something in the air tonight, I think, but all players have struggled. Is it one of those where you can almost feel it within the game that both players aren't really at their best, and you just sort of take all that mentality out the window and just focus purely on getting the victory?
Yeah, I felt really good coming here. I was hitting the ball quite nice at the weekend when I was playing, but then you sort of make a couple of mistakes and then you're a bit edgy and you don't want to make any more, and that just became a little bit of a struggle. But luckily Ben, he made a few mistakes as well, which he doesn't normally do. So yeah, just pleased to get over the line.
Sense of relief was the vibe from both you and Hiten getting out of those first two matches. Is this about to now be a free-flowing final? Have you got the difficulty out the way, maybe?
I'd like to think so, but we'll see. Hiten, that's going to be another tough game. But let's just see. Hopefully I can get the job done.
Wish you the best luck.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Oh, an answer so good. I heard it twice. That's. It's good to hear Carl actually in good spirits. He was. He looked edgy in that first match, didn't he? And actually, he sounded confident there. He talked a good game, and he's got out on the table against Hiten here and has started really, really well. This shot here hasn't gone exactly to plan. He's a little bit loose on his white ball, but it's the first even slight error he's made, and he should be able to recover it. Indeed he has. It's a lovely pot. But perfect position as well. He looks like he's really trying to send a message here, isn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say he's perfect, as in making the pot, but he hasn't got an angle to be able to get up onto his next ball, so the next pot is going to be huge. He's going to try and power this and get something, and that's forced the miss, really. Just trying to get that few inches off the cushion is what's forced the miss there. If he just had to make the pot along the bottom cushion, he would not have missed it.
Well, Hiten with a great chance to get his first frame on the board here. He was a little bit patchy in his win over Eddie Barker. Pulled out some unbelievable pots at times. He's an excellent shot maker. You see that one there. Never afraid to go for the spectacular. Backs himself at always. It's a great quality to have. It's entertaining, and when he's on it, he can be a phenomenal player. Really, he's just not quite been consistent enough tonight for me to make me think he can really turn one over on Karl Sutton here. That being said, he'd be loving the chance to prove me wrong, and a streaky performance in the first game might lead the way to a consistent performance in the second here.
I think the one thing he needs to tidy up going from the first match to the second match is his cue ball control. I think that's where he got himself in a little bit of trouble in that first match.
Not a false note so far from Hiten Patel. And the Hitman squares things up after two. Here he is, Hiten Patel. Was the outsider coming into tonight. He's now in the final. 44-year-old from Wolverhampton. Indian international for many a year, as well as multiple Leicester Tour winner. He has been as high as 7th in the world rankings before. And if he can get his break going, I feel that will be his big weapon tonight. If he can really get his break going, give himself good chances.
What he needs to do is not just get it going, but also when he had first chances or good chances in that opening match, he wasn't able to take too many from the first chance. He was relying on mistakes or scrapping out for a second opportunity. So if he makes a ball here, and he has, he'd really like to take one out off his own break just to set him down. And
that's a stunning contact. Watch these balls here. White straight back up the table as well. You struggle to hit a break better than that, honestly. Beautiful, beautiful hit. He's actually been a touch unlucky because the top left of the table is congested, and ironically it's a sign of you hitting a break phenomenally well. The top left of the table is congested. I just wonder if there's a route through here. Can he pick a pattern? Oh, it's a good first shot. I didn't think that yellow went, and all of a sudden you just start to wonder, can he find a way now to get that yellow off the cushion? Does he need to? Don't think it doubles. I think the red's in the way of that.
the easiest ball to move that yellow with is the one he's on now to the left centre, but I think he's too straight. He may have just the slightest angle here. He'd have to force it, which is dangerous in the centre pockets. Oh, he's played for it into the bottom left corner. No thoughts of moving it, and if he's not on it, he's on nothing.
I think he can just get through, but this is a horrifically tough pot. Oh, that's not good. Not a good sign. Looks like he isn't on it. You can see there he's looking at the cushion first.
If he does play this cushion first, he needs to make sure he hits another cushion and doesn't give the foul away. He's still going to try and pot it to this bottom left corner. Yeah, let's hit another cushion. It's fine. It's fine as in he hasn't given a foul away, but it's not fine that he's turned the table over.
Yeah, it's a big chance now for Karl Sutton. Fully expect him with the form that he's displayed early on in this match to be able to take these out.
Awkward little cluster still on the left-hand side, though. Needs to, if he could play a plant, then that would help. If not,
I think the two closest to the pocket will plant, which would help him out a little bit. He's opted to move one though, and that's not too bad. Awkward queuing, but it's an easy enough pot to get onto the one at the top of the table.
He may well need a spider here, unless he's he's going to be able to lean over. But this is quite a big lean over. Awkward. Now he's opened everything up with those first two shots.
That's what the best players do. Karl Sutton on a mission to put himself amongst that bracket. Talked about this quarter of the draw being a great opportunity for anyone within it. Every player in groups 5, 6, 7 and 8 would have looked at it and thought, I can make this semi-final. If I play my game, if I play my best, I've got a great shout. Karl Sutton, probably one of the names that jumped out of quarter two with the potential to make the semi-final if you're looking at things on paper. So far he's living up to his end of the bargain. He's got a tricky game here against Hiten Patel. If he's not on his game, Hiten can beat him. We saw that with the first match. Eddie Barker was a big favourite against Hiten Patel, but Hiten beat him pretty handily in the end. 3-4 frames, I think, the difference ultimately. 5-2 was it?
5-2 in the end, yeah. It's going to be a double on this 8-ball. Hasn't got the angle to play on it down the cushion. We see these top players, though, they make the doubles look so easy. If they land nicely on it, you're very surprised if they miss it, but always an extra element when it is a double.
This is the perfect angle to see it. We'll know straight away. Never in doubt. Never in doubt.
Frame.
Makes that look so easy. Perfectly judged. Never in doubt. Karl Sutton is away. And from lowest oft has got a great CV. Currently the world number 3, WEPF side of things. 4-time tour winner. Part of the Premier League in the World Rules side of the game. 2016 European champion. Had a great 2016 by the look of things. European champion and nearly the world champion as well.
Yeah, 2016, the year of one of his biggest achievements in winning the European Championships, but also going to be one of his biggest disappointments in not winning the World Championships, having made the final. Oh, what a break. What a massive break.
Wow. That is a hammer.
It is, and these yellows have come out really nicely for him. I don't think he'll give too much attention to the reds. They've gone slightly awkward, and there's a few less of them on the table. The one problem he has with the yellows is going to be the 8-ball. He could, if he wants to, leave it where it is and play for it into the centre pocket. He has the perfect ball to do that. But that would be a difficult shot into the left centre pocket. He could try and move it if he wants to. He could play for it as a double. So he has options.
Yeah, we mentioned Sean Chipperfield earlier. That was the man who got the better of Karl Sutton in 2016. The only man in the last 5 years not called Michael Hill who's won a world title.
Yeah, some record that, isn't it? We'll be seeing Michael a little bit later on in the competition.
against Sean Chipperfield.
Against Sean Chipperfield,
Talk about Battle of the World Champions. They're the only two players who've won one since 2015.
This has gone slightly wrong for Karl. I think he was trying to leave an angle to move the 8-ball here. Oh, he has, but has he left the next ball?
Not quite.
Not quite. I think his plan, was to try and play that shot that he's just played on his second shot, and he didn't leave the angle he wanted and actually had to clear the little cluster on the right-hand side first and come back down to it, and now it's slightly awkward. Still hopes to clear this up, but requires a good shot here. And he's made it. Brilliant.
Wow. Some recovery this from Karl Sutton. Beautifully done. Had to get that absolutely spot on as well, because I don't think cushion first was really an option. Because if he'd have gone cushion first there and he'd hit the left side of the yellow, I think it was hitting the jaw. Had to get it absolutely perfect, and didn't he just? Judge that fine cut well. Cue ball was tracking into the bottom corner pocket. In the end, Karl Sutton gets over the line, and that's an impressive frame to win there. Let's remind ourselves of the draw so far then. This is the first quarter. This is what we've already seen. We talked about this earlier, the names that aren't in the last 16 is incredible to think of, but just look at that last 16 draw. Jordan Shepherd versus Chris Melling. The winner of that will play the winner of Phil Harrison and Rob Chilton. And for the way that Rob Chilton played to get through his group, my goodness me, did he put himself right up there with the best performances that we've seen so far. His victory over Carl Morris was outstanding.
Hiten Patel to break.
Both of those two played amazingly well.
Yeah, Rob Chilton's a brilliant player. He's one of the top players around, but he's going to start that group as the outsider of the four. That tells you how high a standard a group we've got there.
It's a ridiculous thing to say, that, isn't it?
It is.
For a last 16 group, absolutely incredible. But Karl Sutton here with a great chance to secure his place in the last 16. He leads the way in the early going here, and Hiten is struggling off his break. If you can't give yourself chances off the break, when your opponent is giving himself some, you are going to find it a very long night. Or a very short night.
Karl's definitely walking around the table very purposefully at the moment, isn't he? I think he's stepped up the pace a little bit from that first match and really trying to make it all happen. Responded well from that mistake he made in frame 2, and excellent clearance in the last frame to open up the 2-frame lead. So everything looking good for him right now. And that shot didn't work out though. He was trying to move that red out the way so that the yellow would then come down the cushion. It hasn't. Has an angle to try and go into it again now if he wants to, or he could leave it where it is for a double. He's played into it, and it's all gone wrong.
Ball in hand.
He's a little unlucky. He's a little unlucky, but he'd have known that was a danger.
Yeah, I think he would have preferred to hit the underside of that yellow rather than the top side of it. So he's missed the cannon by a little distance there. That he was, if we're being really precise and picky.
Which we are.
Which we are, for sure. But I have to say, I think this is a really important visit to the table here for Hiten Patel, because the way the last 2 frames have gone, 3-1 behind, this is really important that he punishes a mistake now and gets himself back 3-2, stays with Karl in this match. Eight ball right at the bottom of the table, and whichever ball he leaves for his last ball now, the cue ball is going to be travelling distance onto it, which is never a guaranteed good outcome from that sort of situation.
Looks like the plant from here as well. Just to make sure this first red remains in a potting position. Yeah, he's played that pretty well. But think he's rerouting a bit here. I think he ideally wanted that red at the bottom of the table to be his final red. And now with where the white balls ended up after that plant, it can't be. Just makes that final shot from final red to 8 ball really tough. It's probably already tough, to be fair, but it's made it tougher. He's got a really important shot now. Looks simple, this, but needs to leave a really good cue ball.
Looks like he's left it straight.
Yeah, I was just about to say, that looks a little bit straight to me. That looks very straight to me.
I thought it was just off straight the wrong way, but I don't think it is. Now he's seen the overhead, so he can, I think, screw this back and just be just above the centre pocket. Yeah, just see where he's pointing his finger on the cushion. Cue ball's going to be going down towards the bottom right-hand corner. He's got to be careful not to go in off. He's a little short. Oh, he's very short, in fact. It's amazing how often that happens when the 8 ball is welded to the middle of a bottom cushion and the rest of your work is at the top end of the table. It's so hard to get good position.
This is almost impossible to pot. This is so tricky from here.
I don't know if he's eyeing up the cut. I think he is. I wonder whether
does he go cushion first?
That's what I was thinking. Does he go cushion? I was thinking, does he go left cushion first and try and pot it into the bottom right? And if he catches it full, at least he's leaving it awkward. That would be a delicate shot into the middle for Karl.
Or does he go bottom cushion first with a ton aside, try and cut it in that way?
Call.
I mean, I don't like any option really. Oh, that's what he's tried, and it's not happened, so that's a chance gone for Hiten, and not being able to punish that mistake from Karl Sutton.
Such a difficult shot, that. It's a really tough one to judge, that long screw back. It's so difficult to judge the pace of that, because as you quite rightly said, if he overhits it, he's in off. So that has to play a part in his mind. He's got to be thinking, I don't want to hit this too hard, and he's ended up coming up about a foot short.
Yeah, and I think if he was analysing his visit to the table, I don't think he'd be looking back at the screw shot that was short. I think he'd be looking at the route he picked, and was there a better way to go? Could he control the cue ball better to make sure he didn't have to play that shot? And absolutely he could have done. There was a number of different ways he could have gone, but the way he ended up going, it was always going to be a tough last shot. Needs a little bounce here. Needs a little bounce.
Well, this is going to the top of the table. Don't think he's cutting this back.
Yeah, that was not what he wanted. Well, he still is looking at the centre pocket. He could go top right, could go top left, but he is still thinking centre.
Centre pocket is thin. I think the pot is not that difficult, but the cue ball might be moving a little bit. He's managed to hold it pretty well. It's not an easy 8 ball, this though, especially not where he's left it. Cue ball on the cushion.
I thought he was going to go around 3 cushions when he left it, when he went for the centre pocket. I was surprised he tried to drop it in. I thought he was going to go 1, 2, 3 and leave it into the bottom right as we look from the main camera.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Either way, he's got a shot.
This is a huge shot in the context of this match. This is absolutely massive.
Yeah, I should say. Here we go then, for a 3-frame lead. Ooh, wiped its feet a little bit, but he's made it. Karl Sutton goes 4-1 up. It's a big frame to win.
The strange thing about this is if you're sat in Hiten Patel's chair, the fact that Karl made hard work of that finish but still made it actually hurt you a little bit more, because you're almost thinking, oh, I may get away with that mistake I just made.
Yeah, he had hope, didn't he? He had hope. Well, winner of this one will go through into the last 16. They'll have either Morgan McInnes, Sam Birch, Dave McMahon, Martin McIntosh in their first match of the last 16. And they've got the bottom half of the draw there to contend with on the other side.
Leading 4 frames
Just
to
tough
1.
games wherever you look, really. Not the first time Carl's done that tonight. Where's the 8 ball going? Not into the pocket. Golden Duck would have been a pretty big moment for Hiten Patel if he could have had one. But he's flirted with this all night, Karl Sutton. He's hit that cut break so beautifully, but if he gets it a fraction wrong, cue ball's in the centre pocket. And this is a gimme of a clearance.
It is, that was a monster split. He really caught them well, but that cue ball just flew in.
Well, it's almost a carbon copy of the last break he hit, which was huge. But actually, if you look back at that one, the cue ball was only just above the centre pocket there. Does play with that a little bit.
This is about as simple as it gets for a player of Hiten Patel's ability. Leave the yellow at the top of the table as your last ball. 8 balls sitting there. These are just 4 roll-ins. Yeah, just overhit that previous shot. I wanted to just drop that yellow into the centre pocket just so he didn't have to do too much with the cue ball, and it sort of sums up his night so far, that he's just having to work a little bit harder than he wanted to. Still no problems.
And Hiten Patel gets himself back in contention. It's 4-2 as we pass the halfway stage of this last 32 match. Who is heading through to the last 16? We'll see the conclusion of this one when we return.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Ball in hand behind the break line. Red ball's in play. Frame.
Chris, one sec, guys. Do you want me to hold the referee, yeah? Okay, yeah. This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. We are getting towards the end of week number 5 here, and Karl Sutton is on the march against Hiten Patel. This is what you missed in the break. Karl was in rude form. In off the break went Hiten, and Karl Sutton making a superb reverse dish. It's not ideal, to say the least, for Hiten Patel this. Karl Sutton looking ominously good. Clutch 8-ball to the middle pocket, off the bottom rail. Never in doubt. And he's starting to just put a couple of toes towards that last 16 berth, isn't he?
He is, and that was an annoying error for Hiten Patel, because having had the reverse dish in the previous frame, Karl's very lucky on this occasion.
How has that white not gone in?
I'm not sure. We're just saying, you know, hit him reverse dish to get himself back to 4-2. What you want is give yourself an opportunity and pop the cue ball straight away off the break, giving Karl the opportunity to get back on the front foot, which he took. And here he is again, albeit a little bit, fortunately. .20 still to go in this match. Karl 3 frames away from winning it without the clock being a factor. This is a tricky finish, though. He may not even go for these. One yellow at the bottom is a real problem. This yellow he's playing now doesn't go unless he can double it, so it may just be taking the pocket. And he is, just hasn't quite taken the pocket, but he's knocked the red awkward at the top of the table. And for Hiten, that red nearest the left centre pocket is a real problem ball. Karl taking the decision not to chase a finish and making it, or opening things up for Hiten. And if he clears up from here, then so be it. Well, Hiten is giving a lot of thought to see whether he could play this as a plant, whether the red nearest the left centre, the one like I say is causing all the problems, whether that actually passes the yellow and he can then play it as a plant. It's very tight. There might just be enough room. He's not sure, though. He's had 2 or 3 really good looks at this and hasn't quite made up his mind.
Double misses, and that might be the dagger, you feel. He knew he didn't really want to take that on. He knew it was odds against making it. Doubles when they're an inch off the cushion, you expect them to make. Doubles when they're welded to the cushion are infinitely more difficult.
It was a bit of a nothing shot as well, because he wasn't doing anything with the cue ball. I think that's fine for Karl Sutton. He's only just realised that he can continue.
It's an absolute fluke, but what he intended to do, he achieved, but he can actually stay at the table. And that is, in essence, a fabulous shot.
Well, it's going to give him a great chance to win this frame. It is a fluke. He was playing to just get the red off the table and leave the cue ball at the bottom of the table and leave Hiten nothing to go at, and actually achieved that very nicely. But that yellow going in as well. Look at the rest of the table. They are laid out lovely for him.
Yeah, it's a lovely fluke, that. If you Karl Sutton.
Yeah, and I was surprised that it took him a few seconds to realise actually he gets to play the next shot.
Ooh, now then. If there is to be a comeback from Hiten Patel, it needs to start here. It's unlikely, it's odds against, but should he do it, it has to start here.
I mean, how does he do it though? This is awful. This is, as much as, you know, he's happy that he gets to come to the table, you know, with Karl having that 8-ball right over the pocket, I mean, the chance for Hiten to clear up here is so slim. Was he looking at some sort of double? Is he maybe trying to double this into the middle pocket to be able to get the cue ball into the one nearest the left centre, maybe?
Yeah, good shout. What a shot.
Oh, what a shot.
What
a great shot that is.
shot.
He is
That
so
is.
unlucky that he hasn't landed better than this. He deserves so much more.
Oh, I called him a shot maker, but goodness me, that's ridiculous.
That's incredible. He has still got this to the bottom corner. It is awkward, but he has an angle where he can screw behind the red at the top. No, he's overcut it.
Oh, and you knew straight away. Deserved more. Really deserved more. It's a stunning shot. Absolutely amazing. But in the end, Karl Sutton mops up.
Frame.
Oh, that's such a good shot, this. The double's hard enough, but to free the other red, that's amazing. Really amazing.
Yeah, and I really thought he was going to make that one to the bottom right and we'd be raving about that 4-ball clearance. But the shot before certainly deserved it, and when your opponent makes a mistake like Karl did, missing that 8-ball, you really want to step in and punish it, but that was so difficult for Hiten, and now he's really up against it. 4 frames behind, 15 minutes on the clock. You can just see the clock ticking down in the background. The clock only stops when the referee is racking the balls in the final 10 minutes of the match, when we're at the 15 seconds a shot portion of it.
Ah, it's typical. Worst break hitting the match by a mile, but he's made a ball. Is Sod's Law, I believe.
Yeah, especially when you're 4 frames behind and the match clock is starting to become a problem. You really want a big chance to make a quick frame to get back, back underway and cut that gap. But it's a frame where he might have to get tactical. Maybe going into the cluster here, needs to try and get some movement. Oh, moves the reds, but not the 8-ball.
It's not bad though. Reds all are near enough, but you're right, that 8-ball's a ginormous problem. It's just whether he has got the ability to do it. One option is maybe to play the red to the top left, guaranteed to go into the pack that way. So throw the cat amongst the pigeons. Misses the pot. And with Karl's ability with the cue ball, you'd back him in a frame like this, wouldn't you?
He may not go for it though. It depends how easy it is for him just to unravel the ones around that 8-ball. He only wants to open up the 8-ball if he fancies the clearance. The yellow just above the left centre pocket would be a problem to solve, assuming these will all just open up with this next shot. But we've already seen him make a couple of really good doubles today.
That was a lovely little shot there, wasn't it? That's what I mean about the ability that he's got in and around the triangle areas. Cue ball control's excellent. Started to be a little bit more like it from Karl Sutton, hasn't it? As this night's worn on, he's got better and better.
He has. He's for me so far. He has played the best ball of the 4 players tonight, but he has just thrown in the odd mistake to keep his opponents, Hiten and Ben Flack, interested.
This isn't guaranteed. This is a tough shot.
Cue ball's close.
Oh, that's such a good shot, isn't it? That's such
Well
a good
played.
shot. Made the double look so easy. He's absolutely pinpoint perfect on the white. 1 frame from home.
Frame.
Karl Sutton is almost there in the last 16.
That was a really good and confident clearance. They weren't that easy when he came to the table. He had to nudge them all open in the first couple of shots, but he did it with control and with precision, and backed himself, was always leaving the double for his last ball, but backed himself to make it, and certainly did.
Yeah, he really did. Hiten now knows that his fate is almost sealed.
Frame 10. Carl Sutton to break, leading 7 frames to 2.
White ball's going the other side of the table. All of a sudden, that's looking great. That is looking great.
Hiten Patel will now be fearing the worst, that he has played his last shot in this year's competition, because that is a massive break from Karl Sutton.
Yeah, it really was, and it shows the level of control that he's got, that after he's danced with that right centre pocket the last few breaks, threw it the other side on this one, and look at the result.
Certainly generates a lot of power on the break, doesn't he? Doesn't look like he's over-hitting it or really going after it, but there's a huge amount of power going through the pack.
Yeah, and he's not a natural sort of power player, if that makes sense. He's not got a real long cue action, or he's, you know, you don't look at him and think, oh yeah, he's a big strong bloke, he's going to get a lot through it. But he really does generate an awful lot of cue power.
Just times it beautifully. And he is mopping these up very, very quickly.
Oh, we're going to see a final end before the 10-second shot clock, I think. Or the 15-second shot clock, I should say. It's the first time we've seen that. Karl Sutton in rude form. And he's ending the night playing his best pool. And he gets a place in the last 16.
Okay, man. No, lucky son. Pass.
Karl Sutton makes it look very simple in the end. Superb performance in the final. That was the best performance of the night by a distance. And we talked about, didn't we, Simon, that if he was to get better and better, if he was to use that win against Ben Flack as a platform, get through it, relieved to win, build through the night, then it's going to be a real problem for Hiten Patel, and that's exactly what Karl Sutton was actually able to do. That was a phenomenally consistent and almost steady performance. He didn't do anything spectacular, but did what Karl Sutton does so well when he's on form. He's just relentless, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he probably came into tonight thinking only about Ben Flack, because that's such a tough match to call, such an even match. They've played each other loads of times, they know each other really, really well. But once he got through that match, not only did he get the confidence for winning that, and it was a little bit scrappy in places, but he did still play some good stuff. But he got the confidence of winning. Also, he went into that next match and sort of looked like he almost upped the pace just a fraction, and sort of was almost walking around the table with a bit more purpose and an air of confidence, like, if I play well here, I'm going to win this match. And I guess that's kind of what happened. He did make one or two mistakes to keep Hiten interested at times, but there was 4 finishes from the break from him. He took out 2 or 3 really crucial finishes at the right time, and in the end he was there was only one winner at the end, really.
Yeah, superb performance from Karl Sutton in tonight's final to get the job done. We all hear from him when we come back.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. Karl Sutton's work is done. His name can take its place proudly in the last 16. Great wins tonight over Ben Flack and Hiten Patel. First name in the second quarter into the last 16. I'd like to say Karl joins us now. Karl, big congratulations. We talked to you after that first match. You weren't particularly pleased with your performance. Got a bit of a relieved sort of sense from you after that first game. How pleased were you with that second game performance? You seemed to play some of your best stuff.
Yeah, very. It was a lot better than the first. It was a lot more open. The balls kind of went in my favour. I had a couple of rubs here and there. But yeah, that's the kind of game I want to play, and luckily I got it done before 10 minutes, so I didn't have to run around the table.
Always a boost, and I don't think we'll see too many more like that as well. It was it was a much improved performance. Did you feel like that could be the way forward tonight? Because we know you've not had a huge amount of match practice. It sort of seems to be the way that as the night's gone on, you continually improved, whether it would be across both games or in the games themselves.
Yeah, I think that's probably generally what I do most tournaments, to be honest. I'm never really a good starter, even though you have to against, like in these events and against Ben. But I like to play myself into a tournament. So to scrape the first one and then play a bit better the second one, so it's pleasing.
And we've talked about it a lot on commentary, myself and Simon, where you look at this second quarter of the draw and it feels like probably the most open quarter. Would you say that's fair? Have you sort of taken a look and thought, I've got a decent chance here if I play my best stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't look too far into draws anyway, because that's just not something I do, because if you see a big name, you might panic. But yeah, I've heard you say over the previous weeks that it's one of the opener quarters. But look, everybody's good. I can lose to anybody on the day, but I'm still in, and I'll give it my all next game.
How pleased are you to get over the line tonight?
Yeah, very. You know, like I said to you earlier, the last time I played and I got beat, it was just when am I going to play again, because of the times we're in. But now I've got 12 weeks or so. I can go away. I've got something to look forward to. I can practice a bit more. Hopefully things open up a bit more and I can actually get and play somebody instead of playing on my own. So yes, it's something to look forward to.
Absolutely, we can't wait to watch you again. Congratulations on that.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Simon, a great draw in prospect, isn't it? We talked about that second quarter of the draw being open. Carl Sutton has now got a name in the hat.
He has, yeah. He takes the first spot into the last 16 in this quarter of the draw, but we've got 3 more groups to go through to see how this draw unfolds. Next week we've got Morgan McGuinness and Sam Bircher playing off in the first match, and then David McNamara and Martin McIntosh. Some tough matches to call there, but it should be another cracking week.
Yeah, absolutely. And you take a look at something like Group 7, like Josh Kane, Dom Cooney, Jordan Church, 3 great names in that group. Some proper top players to come. But I think, as we talked about, there's an opportunity there for any one of them really to make that run all the way to the semi-final. And once you're on finals nights, we heard Carl say there a moment ago, anything is possible. Anyone really can beat each other. It's part of what makes this tournament so much fun, isn't it?
It's one of those things, though, that you have to be, he was pretty guarded with his answer. You've got to be careful not to look too far ahead and get too carried away. If I win this one, I'll get him, and so on and so forth. You've just got to kind of, take who comes in your way. But if they do look at the draw and do think, okay, I've avoided some of the really big names, there's still some great players in there, but they know if they play their best stuff, then, they're going to have a great chance. So it is a great quarter of the draw, and it's going to be great to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, great draw coming up next week as well. 4 more brilliant players to come. The lineups never seem to fail us here on the Ultimate Pool Masters. It's another great night, this time for Karl Sutton, the first from our second quarter of the draw to book his way through to the last 16. He now gets to put his feet up. He's got 3 months to wait until his next game, but as he says, he's delighted to have a next game to look forward to. Something for us to look forward to as well is the return of Carl. If he's on the form that he was tonight, we are in for a treat. He books his way through to the last 16, and me and Simon are booking our way home for the evening. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, for the Ultimate Pool Masters. Good night.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.